Okay, it is unbearably hot out here, which is really crazy given the actual temperature is not that high. I guess I'm just trying to get used to the warmer weather. It's only supposed to be in like the low 80s today at most. But I've got some stuff I'm working on here. This wild strawberry is completely loaded. You can just see how ridiculously loaded it is. I've got my seedlings here developing. They're almost ready. You see, if you look at the difference here, you can kind of see this one here is just kind of green, but this one here is kind of swollen and white. This one only has like maybe a day or two left before it's ready, and I'll be collecting all the seeds from that, and that's going to be one half of my next hybrid project. But I still want to get all the fruit from this guy. I think my largest full bloom here, this is the first one other than the ones that I'm using for my experiment with, and it's getting pretty big. This is actually a decent size for a wild strawberry right now, which is really nice. Really excited. Most of the insects have kind of scurried off because I've been kind of trying to manage them, and the heat, I think, it's kind of getting to them too. But given that it's almost ripe, I want to give this guy a little bit of a trim to try to reduce a lot of the energy load that's on it. You can see all these runners coming here off the side. There's a bunch of them down here. You can't quite see it yet, but they're trying to grow. Oh, look at that one right there. It's trying to grow roots on it. And this is a huge energy burn on a plant. More importantly, it's a huge water burn on it. And given that these are in containers, you can already tell that the soil is kind of dry. I want to give this guy a huge soak, but first I want to try to get rid of all that excess foliage that's really slowing it down. Not necessarily the leaves themselves, unless they got like a lot of really bad diseases or they're old like this one, because you want all that foliage to draw in the energy. But a lot of these runners here and anything else that's looking diseased, I just want to try to clean this guy up a little bit. I want to do all of them. I think I only have time for this one right here, so I'm gonna show you obviously the before, but I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of a look at what it's supposed to look like after we're done as well. Okay, so these are all of the runners that I've managed to find so far, and it might not look like much in terms of size, but this is actually quite a few for one, or I think there's two plants in here, right? I got this one here and then this main one here, so that's actually a good size, especially for spring. And you'll notice that you can see one plant here, and you can see that it's continuing on to make another one. But then back here, if you follow it back, you can see the second node here where there's no plant coming out, but there's another runner right there. So you can kind of appreciate just how quickly this can spread when you've got, I don't even want to count this, but there's probably like 24 stems, each one with a main plant on it, with a continuing runner, secondary runner, and I guess you'd call this like an auxiliary runner there. Each one continuing on, continuing on, continuing on. These can daisy chain for multiple feet. Like this right here is already almost 2 feet. That's like 20 inches right there. So they can spread really far and really quickly. Each one of these subsequent runners will be smaller. The plants that they make will be smaller, but they will grow fast. So I've got all those cleaned out. Now we're going to trim up some of the stems. I already chopped off a few, but then I stopped and kind of went to trimming by hand because I noticed that I already accidentally cut off a strawberry. It was a really nice one too. So you got to be super careful when you're doing this, because sometimes it's really hard to see them all. And I'm also noticing, I'm not really seeing them that much, but since I've been trimming it out, I've been seeing some aphids coming through. This one's moving fast too. If you can see that. That's an aphid. And they drink the sap out of your plant. Sometimes they have wings, sometimes they don't. This one doesn't have a wing, so it's probably done for unless it finds a weed or something over there. So I am going to give this a bit of a spray down as well, just to be safe, just to reduce that load, because the two biggest insect problems that I've had with these strawberries is aphids, which has been really light this year. That's the biggest one I've seen all spring. And then spit bugs. They show up on the stem and they make like a real frothy substance. I haven't seen any recently, but it was a bit of an issue here for a bit. So I'm going to yeah, give them a little spray. This, you can see all this sort of brown spots on here. That's kind of one of the effects of these bugs kind of drinking the sap out of these flower heads. It just stunts them and kind of kills them out before they even get going. So I'm gonna give it a spray down after I trim it up, and then you guys will be able to see what it looks like when I'm done. Okay, all the bunch of excess leaves are chopped off. So basically what I do is I just kind of come through and I take off all the lower stuff. What it likes to do is it likes to bring its leaves straight up, and then over time, as the stems get moved out to make way for new growth, they kind of get pushed down to the edge, to the outside. So I took off most of the stuff around the base to help with airflow, circulation, and disease, because disease builds up on these. The more crowded they are and the closer the leaves are to the ground as well, that can cause issues. And then just taking off some of these diseased ones as well along the way in the middle. But I'm not really taking off all that much compared to what is on here, because these get really loaded down with leaves compared to most modern strawberries. But there it is. I'm going to give it a nice soaking and then wait patiently to get some fruit off these. I'm willing to bet within this month, by the end of the month, I think these are going to start coming nice and ripe and red. And I'll be sure to take plenty of pictures of those once they start coming through.